Okay, guys, so today we're going to talk about the concept of high funnel is the future. High funnel is the future. So, what do I mean by that? If you're new to sales or new to real estate, funnels is a term that salespeople use to describe where someone is in the sales pipeline in terms of their intent, their ability, and their timeline towards how soon or how far away they are from buying. High funnel leads are leads that are usually more than 6 months away. People sometimes call these leads cold leads. These are people that are sort of just going online, looking at pictures of homes. They really don't have any intentions of wanting to speak with an agent yet, not because they're opposed to the idea. They just don't think they need an agent at this point. Most people think, when I'm ready to go see a home, I'll go click a button or I'll go call my local real estate brokerage and I'll have someone go open that door for me. And that's the purpose of a real estate agent. But usually this early in the process, they don't really have a clear-cut idea of where they want to live, what type of home they need. They probably haven't gotten into exact bedrooms, bathrooms, or square footage and stuff like that yet. They're window shopping. They're very, very early in the journey. And these people typically have not spoken with an agent yet, and more often than not do not have an agent yet. So that's high funnel leads. And then after that, a notch above that, you have mid-funnel leads. Mid-funnel leads are people who are a little bit more serious than high-funnel leads. They're in that information gathering stage. They're doing their research stage. They probably do have a good idea of how many bedrooms or bathrooms they want, how much square footage they want. Do they want an HOA? Do they not want an HOA? They usually have a much more crystallized vision of what it is that they want, and they usually do have some type of concrete timeline in place. Usually they're more than 3 months away, generally less than 6 months away. So whereas high funnel leads are typically referred to as cold leads, mid funnel leads are typically referred to as warm leads. And then a notch above that, you have the leads that everybody wants to work with. These are bottom of the funnel leads. Bottom of the funnel leads are people who are ready to get pre-approved, ready to speak with an agent, and ready to go tour homes. So these are the leads that everybody wants to work with. Every real estate agent's like, if I could just get in front of more bottom of the funnel leads, if I could just get in front of more pre-approved buyers who want to talk to an agent and go see homes, I'd be making $1 million a year. The challenge is this: bottom of the funnel leads are very hard to intentionally and actively prospect for. Why? In this day and age, companies like Zillow, companies like Realtor.com, big box portals like that on the internet, they sort of have a lock on bottom of the funnel leads. Because when someone's already gotten to the point where they know exactly what they want to see, how much they can afford, and they're ready to go look at it, usually the most common thing someone will do is go on Zillow, type in the address, or go on Realtor.com, type in the address, or search on these websites, and click the request tour button. I want to see this property at 3 o'clock today. And an agent miraculously appears. Doesn't know, who knows if that person is going to be a really good fit for that person, but an agent miraculously appears and then goes and meets that person at that home. And that's the agent you get paired with. And depending on if you purchase Zillow leads, and if you do purchase Zillow leads in that zip code, there's a lot of things working against you because the odds of you getting that bottom of the funnel lead are very slow. You're competing with a lot of other people at that point. A lot of times these people already also have an agent. A friend found out they were looking at homes and they referred them an agent. A lot of the times if they've gotten pre-approved first before looking at homes, their lender has referred them an agent. So you're swimming against the tide on this one. You're swimming upstream. You're competing with a lot of different agents. And then mid-funnel leads sort of have the same issue, but not to the same degree as bottom of the funnel leads, because these people usually are starting to go to open houses. Maybe they've toured a couple of new construction homes. Those are very popular here in Las Vegas and Henderson and other parts of the country. And when you go into a new construction home build and you go tour the models, you have to get registered with them. And if you didn't bring an agent with you, they are now your agent for that place. And it's very hard to go catch people. After they've done that, you're not going to get paid if you help them for that new build. So high funnel leads, that leaves them. Interesting thing about high funnel leads, they're the only one in these brackets out of the three things: high funnel leads, mid funnel leads, and bottom of the funnel leads. They're the only category, they're the only group of buyers that 95% of the time have not already spoken with an agent, and 95% of the time do not have an agent. Now, follow-up question number 2. Which of those three categories do most agents not want to deal with? Do they run away from and avoid like the plague? The high funnel leads, the same group. Now tell me how this makes sense. Let's change our perspective on this. How come the one group that has the least competition for an agent is the very same group that most agents stay away from? Now, this may seem like a no-brainer, but most people say, well, they're 12 months away, or they're not pre-approved yet, or they don't even know what they want yet. Why would I want to work with those people? Well, you want to work with those people for a couple of reasons. One, you can serve as more of a consultant to them than what they would normally expect of a real estate agent. Most people, most buyers and sellers, as we spoke about earlier, they just expect, you know what, as soon as I'm ready to buy, as soon as I'm ready to sell, that day, I'll get in touch with a realtor. But the problem is there's a lot of things that a realtor can help consult people with 12 months in advance, 6 months in advance, to help either speed up their timeline, save them a whole bunch of money, or make their search a lot more efficient and get them a much better deal and a much better home had they worked with that realtor early on in the pipeline, early on in that process, high in the funnel. Because there's two reasons why someone genuinely would not be looking to move for, let's say, 12 months. There's two reasons why someone's a high funnel lead. It's usually because either of an objection or a condition. And let's talk about the difference between an objection and a condition. An objection is an opinion someone has on why they can't buy, or a feeling someone has on why they can't buy. Interest rates are a little bit high for me right now. Prices are a little bit high for me right now. Inventory is low. I'm really just not seeing anything. You know what? I think things are going to get a little bit better after the election. So there's a couple of reasons why people might object to buying at this point. But those are opinions. Those are feelings. Those are things that we know that we can overcome. I would recommend strongly, in the strongest terms, book buyer consultations with those people. Whether you're inviting them into your office, whether you're going and meeting them at a Starbucks or a neutral location like a coffee shop or a place where you can get some lunch, or just meet them through Zoom. They don't even have to have their camera on, but they should see your face because it humanizes you. For unfortunately, most people don't view you as a person until they meet you in person. Until then, you're just sort of this faceless voice over the phone. And you need to become a real person because you can't sell something to someone if they don't see you as a real person. But that's objections. And objections we can help people overcome. There's a whole bunch of different things, whether it's rate buy downs or finding properties that have been on the market a long time, or if someone's stuck in a lease, there's creative ways we can help them get out of their lease that they may not be aware of. So there's solutions that we can have for people and present to people that they may not be aware of that'll take that, or maybe they have something on their credit that they need to get fixed, and we happen to know a lender that specializes in doing a loan that can help them get qualified now, or can help them improve their credit and improve their situation by giving them some advice from a lender's perspective on how to qualify sooner. So people that have objections, you can take them from 12 months, move them to 6 months, and maybe even 3 months. We've had plenty of situations where someone, interest rates are high, there's no way I can buy, or there's no way I can qualify at this time. We sat down with them. The agent built a ton of rapport with them. The agent added a ton of value to them, gave them hope, built their dream. Person got excited, got their stuff together, and then ended up buying a home a couple weeks later. So 12 months to a couple of weeks. And that's the power of meeting people in person if they have objections. Another reason why someone might not be genuinely looking to move for 12 months, high funnel lead, high in that pipeline, is because they have a condition. So a condition is different than an objection because an objection is malleable. You can change it and you can help them work past it. A condition usually is a timeline that's fixed and you can't improve it. Maybe they're going through a probate sale and they can't do anything until that probate's over, mercy of the court. Maybe they're going through a divorce and they know their divorce isn't going to be settled for at least 6 months, sort of at the mercy of that situation. Maybe they're going through some real bad medical situation. And obviously there's nothing you as a realtor can do about their medical situation other than, be there to answer their questions in the process and hope they have a speedy recovery. Or maybe they don't want to move until they retire. They can't move until they retire. They're waiting for their daughter to graduate from college so they can downsize, and it doesn't make sense to downsize before that. So that's a condition, something that's fixed, not something you can do a lot of work with to speed that up. I would still meet with those people that genuinely cannot move for 6, 8, 12, or even more months. Why? Because what happens is most agents, what they do is they go, hey, okay, you have a totally legitimate reason why you cannot move for 12 months or however long. I'll just follow up with you monthly until you're ready. That sounds great. That's not very pushy. That sounds like a way to just be there to help them when they need you. Here's the issue. Does that work sometimes? Sure. Everything works sometimes. But the problem is, how many of you have had an experience where you had the best conversation ever with someone? You go, great, I'm going to follow up with you until you're ready. On that first phone call, you know their dog's name, they know your kids' names or their kids' names. You're talking about your astrological signs. You guys become best friends over the phone. You think you have this client for life, a sure thing. And then you call them back a couple weeks later, and they don't answer. And then you call them back a couple weeks later again, and they don't answer. And you never speak with them again. Or even worse, you call them a couple weeks later, and they have no idea who the hell you are. That's a very deflating feeling. Because why? Let's go back to what we said earlier. For most people, you are not a real person until they meet you in person. Most people only have the mental bandwidth for their friends, their family, their coworkers, acquaintances, and the people they see on a regular basis. You, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor, no matter how sharp you were on the phone, no matter how much you hit it off on the phone with some great rapport, no matter how much value you added over the phone, they're probably going to forget you a couple of hours later. And that's a very a very sad fact for us to have to accept, but it's the reality of the situation. We can't blame them for it. So I would do anything you can to book a buyer consultation with that person, even if they're 12 months away. Hey, Joe, I know you're 12 months away from buying. You're not in a rush, but I'd love to get a chance to meet you. Sit down, put together a game plan. So, as we get a little bit closer to that 12-month mark, we can hit the ground running and you don't have to start from scratch. When are you free for like 20 or 30 minutes to have a cup of coffee? I can tell you, out of every 10 times we do this, every 2 or 3 times, we actually get a buyer consultation from people that are quite far out that you normally wouldn't think to book a buyer consultation with. And when you meet them in person, it prevents that situation we just spoke about before. It prevents you from being ghosted. Now, does that mean that after you meet someone, they're never going to ghost you, guaranteed 100%? No, nothing in life is guaranteed. But I can tell you that it significantly reduces your chances of being ghosted, which is fantastic. I'd rather have 10 people that I've met in person, regardless of their timeline, than 100 people that I've set up on a search that said they're going to move soon. I'm going to get a lot more from that smaller group of people by focusing on quality than just trying to gather a whole bunch of quantity of leads that I don't really have much of a connection with or rapport with in my pond, in my database. So you want to focus on meeting those people in person. So for objection people, you want to meet with them in person because you can help speed up their timeline, turn them into a mid-funnel person or even a bottom-of-the-funnel person. For those people who have a condition, they have a genuine reason why they can't move, and there's probably not much you can do about it. You still want to meet with them because at the very minimum, you're locking them in for when they eventually are ready. And the nurture that you want to do, those subsequent phone calls and touch points with them, they're a lot more likely to answer you more often than not. Another benefit of these high funnel leads, they cost a lot less monetarily. But the trade-off for that is they cost a lot more in terms of your time. What do I mean by that? A typical Zillow lead, depending on your zip code, can be on the low end $500 to on the high end $1,000. And you're paying for a bottom of the funnel lead. You're paying for someone who's already went from being a high funnel lead to a mid funnel lead to now, boom, I'm ready to go see a home, get pre-approved, speak with an agent, and buy something. So you're paying for the convenience of not having to nurture that person throughout the entire funnel process, pipeline process. High funnel leads, you can get some Facebook, Instagram, Google PPC leads for like $20, $30, $40, depending on how you live and the effectiveness of your marketing. It's very cost effective, but it costs a lot more in terms of your time. You have to meet with those people, explain to them the buying process, help them overcome challenges, invest in the relationship up front before they're specifically interested and ready to go look at some homes. So I would highly encourage you, start investing a lot of your time and training into high funnel leads and how to work with them. Whether they have an objection, whether they have a condition, no matter the situation, it's not a waste of your time to meet with them. 80% of buyers work with the first agent that they meet. Think of that, 80% of buyers work with the first agent that they meet. You can be in the business for one day, or you can be a 30-year experienced agent that's done 1,000 deals, and it doesn't matter because it's an equal opportunity, it's a level playing field. And as someone, if you're trying to build a consistent pipeline of business, if you're trying to create a predictable, steady, consistent business where you constantly have deals going on, buyers and sellers, you want to go ahead and start looking into these high funnel leads and keep your calendar booked with them. It's paid off for our team, and I really think it's going to pay off for your team as well. Good luck.